Good morning. I look like a hot mess today because I started setting up the string lights instead of waiting for the shade cloth because it's coming in tomorrow, but I felt like that was cutting it too close to my birthday. And I really don't want to spend my birthday out here setting up string lights. And it's not that I have to spend my birthday out here, but I know myself. And once the shade cloth comes in, I'm going to want to set it up. And then I'm going to want to do the string lights. So I figured I'd just work on the string lights this morning. And here's what I have so far. I think it looks so good. Of course, the shade cloth isn't done being set up yet, and it was a little bit longer on one side than the other, and I think that's just the way that I set it up, but it should work. I'm gonna fix it when the new piece comes in, but I've worked all the way up to here. Basically, all I'm doing is taking a ton of zip ties and attaching the string lights to the wire. And actually, the main reason I even started doing this is because one of the poles had come detached from the wall. So I had to reinstall it. And the reason that happened is because I accidentally forgot to clamp the very top of the pole to the cinder block wall. So it was really windy yesterday, and I guess it was only secured at the bottom, so the pole started moving around. And I went through again and tightened everything up. Everything's good now. I'm just setting up the string lights. Oh, I'm just so excited. I'm so ready to get to work. And then look at Fig Alley. Is that not crazy? What a difference that makes. I think I'm gonna get more used to it once this portion is finally cleaned up. You can see some of the staining from where the pots used to be, but in no time at all, it'll be gone. I just need to go through and sweep it up a little bit better. Can you see? There was a lot of worm castings there and stuff. And I reset up the drip irrigation yesterday as best as I could. It's probably not perfect, but this is gonna give me the opportunity to attach shade cloth from there to the cinder block wall so that the trees don't burn at all. Especially some of my guavas, like this lemon guava, which is looking beautiful. But if I don't protect it, it's definitely going to fry. So I've been doing a lot in the garden this morning. And I didn't start filming it because I honestly wasn't planning on filming. I was actually planning on working on all of this later today, and I probably still am, but there's just so much to do that I figured I'd get a bulk of it out this morning. And yeah, so I don't know how much recording I can do because I didn't charge my gear last night, but I mean, I'll probably just do a time lapse. I wish I had the footage to be able to share with you how I attached the cable wire to the conduit poles and to the house, which, let me just tell you, took ages. And I didn't film any portion of it because I wasn't planning to work on this in the morning, but after seeing how hot it was getting, I was becoming kind of impatient. I really just want to get this out of the way so that I can be inside during the day and then come back outside at night. In the past, I've tried to garden outside during the summertime. There were even times when my phone would shut off multiple times during one project because it would just overheat so much. Not only was it a lot harder to complete one task because I was trying to film it and trying to do it during extreme heat, which was not enjoyable at all for me, honestly. A lot of the time I would come back inside feeling very woozy, kind of nauseous. A lot of the time my body ached in a different way from just soreness from working outside. It was that type of ache that you get when you're starting to get the flu or something. And it would be from working outside when it was really hot. So unfortunately, I don't have the footage, but I was able to get ahead by working on this early in the morning. I think it was right after I dropped off my kids. I came back home, walked out to the garden, and I was like, you know what? Let me fix that pole. And then as soon as I fixed the pole, it was like when you give a mouse a cookie. I fixed the pole, and then I was like, okay, well, now that the pole's set up, I might as well just attach the cable wire just to see if I'm able to work with it, because one of the reasons I was using clothesline before is because the cable wire was so intimidating to me. I didn't know how I was going to be able to cut it. I didn't know how I was going to be able to work with it, what kind of clips I needed to combine two pieces together, because I don't remember exactly how many rolls, but it was a couple of rolls of cable wire that I found at Harbor Freight. And I started doing the ant thing again, and I just kept going, and I don't know what happened that made me go inside to look at my phone, and then I was like, you know what? It's not fully charged or anything, but I'm gonna go ahead and try and get a little bit of footage. Maybe I'll use it someday. I'm done with the first set of string lights. I bought 3 packs of them and I got them in a bundle on Amazon. I don't know if they still sell it because afterwards when I try to go back in and look for them, I couldn't find them anywhere. But they're from the brand Banner. They look like this. These are shatterproof, weatherproof, dimmable, and connectable. So I'm gonna be using 3 in the garden for lighting up the top. That way I can be able to walk through at night and be able to garden. I don't have the dimmer for these though. It doesn't come, I think, with a dimmer installed, but I can buy it separately. So I think I might just do that. I don't know if I was supposed to attach that though before I set them up. If not, then I mean, it's fine. And I really like this brand because the oldest string lights that I've ever had in the garden were this brand as well, except back then I only bought 1 pack of them. They're 102 feet long, which is pretty long. They work really well. I like the amount of brightness that they give. They're nice and warm. They're not like that LED white style. Let me just test these out though before I plug them in. Let me see. I did that with the other ones too, just in case. Yep, and they work. So I'm gonna connect them to the other set, but I'm gonna use one of those weather protectors just in case it rains so that nothing happens to them. And I'm just gonna keep going. I got the 102 feet because it's gonna be a total of like 300 feet worth of string lights that I'm gonna be setting up on the top portion. And that doesn't include any that we might have on the sides, but I don't know if I'll leave those up or if I'll take them down and maybe add them to the trellises. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think this is definitely gonna help just brighten up the place in the evening. So I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna put it back on time lapse just because it's a very, very long process. And then, yeah, I'll just put it on time lapse. So this is the regret that I have right now. And honestly, it's not a big deal. I wish that I had gone with white string lights because then they would have blended in a lot better during the day. And I just feel like it would have looked nicer. Not that it didn't look nice, but I think it always bugged me a little bit that there was so much contrast. And I wanted to zigzag them back and forth because I wanted to follow a pattern that I could continue from Citrus Lane all the way to the Heart of Serendipity if I wanted to. And this is the best that I came up with at the time. Something else that I probably would have enjoyed as well would have been to allow the cable wire and the string lights to dangle a little bit. I think that would have also maybe put some distance between the string lights and the shade cloth so that the contrast wouldn't be quite as noticeable to me, at least. Either way, attaching the cable wire took ages, but the effect that it gave at the end, I know I would not have been able to achieve without attaching the cable wire first. And if I had to do it again, I would 100% add the cable wire before attaching the string lights. Then to attach them, I just used zip ties. I know that I mentioned how zip ties can a lot of the time snap, especially with the intensity of the sun. But because these are underneath the shade cloth, I just feel like maybe it'll last a little bit longer. And the good thing is that I can set up the ladder underneath any of these portions that are zigzagging back and forth. And if I need to reattach something, I can. At this point, I decided to take a break and stop filming because it was already getting far too hot outside. The intensity of the heat was really starting to get to me. And I knew that if I kept going, I wasn't going to feel well. So I headed back indoors and I showered, rested, and told myself I would come back out later in the evening. With that said, I do want to address the elephant in the room and something that's really bugging me. And that is, I was not being safe while getting on that ladder. I can 100% see that and acknowledge it. Honestly though, I don't remember standing on the ladder like that. I think because it was so hot and I was in ant mode, I just didn't feel fear. I didn't feel anything. I was just super hyper fixated on attaching the string lights to the cable wire. Even if that meant standing on the ladder in ways that I shouldn't have, or bracing myself up against the side of the house. And now looking back, I am definitely mortified because thankfully I didn't get hurt, but I could have gotten hurt and that would not have ended well at all. So I don't recommend doing that. I wouldn't do that again. And if I could go back in time, I would have just gone inside and asked my husband to come outside and set those portions up for me. But the reason I didn't do that is because I'm really, really stubborn, and I'm still working on letting people help me out whenever I need help. And I've mentioned that in the past. It's something that I'm working on, and I think a lot of it just has to do with my childhood. I had to do everything myself. I could never ask for help, and that kind of stuck with me. And even though I know that I can ask for help now, I feel like a part of me still wants to just be independent, and I don't want to bother anybody else, and I don't like having to ask for help. My husband is much taller than me, so I know that if I were to ask him, he would probably have no issue at all reaching and attaching areas that I can't reach, and I could still do everything else. But I think one of the reasons that I have trouble asking for help when it comes to serendipity is that I need to prove that I can do it myself. And it's not necessarily that I need to prove it to other people, but sometimes I feel like I have to prove it to myself because of a lot of stuff that I went through in my childhood. I just want to prove to myself that I'm not weak, that I can be brave, and that I can be strong. A lot of the times I'm proud of that, but in this case, I just feel sort of mortified and embarrassed that I was standing on the ladder like that, because I don't want to influence anybody else to do the same, because if someone were to get hurt, I would feel really guilty about that. So this is me asking you to please don't do what I did. I would not do that again, but unfortunately, I can't change the past. I can just make those changes moving forward.